On Tuesday, June 28, 2005, during Operation Red Wings, a four-man SEAL team on a reconnaissance mission was quickly outgunned and ambushed with no escape route. The men retreated, throwing themselves over the steep and jagged mountainside. After an hours-long firefight, they exhausted their ammunition in a fight to the death. This mission is considered one of the deadliest days for U.S. forces in the Afghanistan conflict. But why? Operation Red Wings, also known informally as the Battle of Abbas Ghar, was a joint military operation conducted by the United States in the Pech district of Kunar Province, Afghanistan. The operation took place from late June to mid-July 2005 on the slopes of Sotalo Sar, a mountain located about 32 kilometers west of the provincial capital, Asadabad. The operation aimed to disrupt the activities of local Taliban-aligned anti-coalition militias, ACM, to contribute to regional stability and support the September 2005 parliamentary election for the National Assembly of Afghanistan. At that time, Taliban ACM activity in the region was mainly led by Ahmad Shah, a local from Nangarhar province with ambitions of gaining regional prominence among Muslim fundamentalists. Consequently, Shah and his group became primary targets of the American military operation. To understand where it all started, let's rewind from 2005 back to 2001. Following the initial invasion of Afghanistan in 2001, the focus of U.S. military and coalition partner operations shifted from kinetic actions to counterinsurgency efforts. By 2004, one of the primary objectives of the coalition in Afghanistan was nation building, which involved creating a secure environment conducive to the establishment and growth of a democratically elected government, as well as providing infrastructure support. A significant milestone in this endeavor was the Afghan national parliamentary elections held on September 18, 2005. Despite many provinces in Afghanistan having stable security environments by this time, Kunar province in eastern Afghanistan, bordering Pakistan, remained one of the most volatile regions. For the election results to be considered legitimate by both the Afghan citizens and the international community, it was crucial that all elections across the country proceeded unencumbered, meaning without external influence from either American and coalition forces, or Taliban and anti-American and coalition forces, including those in Kunar. During this period, Kunar province faced insurgent activity from 22 identified groups, some of which maintained loose connections to the Taliban and Al-Qaeda, while others were primarily local criminals. These groups, collectively termed Anti-Coalition Militia, ACM, shared a common resistance to the unification of the country and the increasing presence of national government entities in Kunar. This resistance posed a threat to their activities, which ranged from supporting a resurgent neo-Taliban to engaging in lumber smuggling. To ensure successful elections in Kunar, military operations in the region concentrated on disrupting ACM activity. Various units and operational strategies were employed to achieve this objective. The first operation under this strategy, Operation Spurs, occurred in Coral Valley and marked the inaugural deployment of Navy SEALs. Subsequent operations, including Mavericks and Kelton, followed a similar pattern. The pinnacle of 3rd Battalion 3rd Marines endeavors was the coerced surrender of a high-value target, the ACM commander operating from Coral Valley, known as Nam Day. Following Nam Day's surrender, ACM activity notably decreased in the region, yet it led to a power vacuum. This vacuum was swiftly filled by a rapidly expanding Taliban cell under the leadership of Ahmed Shah, reintroducing chaos to the area. By May 2005, the 2nd Battalion 3rd Marines assumed command in Regional Command East, succeeding the 33rd. Upon their arrival, they aimed to sustain the operational tempo established by Major Thomas Wood, 23, the operations officer of the 33rd. Wood structured a 5-phase operation named Operation Red Wings aimed at dismantling Shah's influence. New intelligence, gathered from both human informants and signal intercepts, revealed that Shah operated from modest structures near the village on Sotalo Sar Mountain, situated in Upper Coral Valley approximately 20 miles west of Kunar's capital. Utilizing imagery from a drone on June 17, 2005, production of improvised explosive devices, IEDs, was identified within Shah's structures. Shah and his associates were implicated in over a dozen incidents targeting American coalition and Afghan entities, including IED attacks and small arms ambushes. The plan was to execute the operation in late June during a period of low lunar illumination. Similar to the strategy of the 33rd, Major Thomas Wood 23 aimed to utilize Special Operations Forces assets for the operation. The operation garnered interest from SEAL Team 10 and SEAL Delivery Vehicle Team 1 and 2. It was structured into 5 phases. In the first phase, a Navy SEAL reconnaissance and surveillance team would insert into the region to observe Shaw and his men and guide the direct action team. In Phase 2, an additional SEAL team would carry out direct action on the ground to capture or eliminate Shaw and his associates. In Phase 3, Marines alongside Afghan National Army soldiers would conduct sweeps of the surrounding valleys. Once stabilized, the Marines would provide assistance to the region in Phase 4. Depending on enemy activity in Phase 5, the Marines would either extract, XCL, or maintain a presence in the area. The SEAL Recon team comprised Navy SEALs Danny Dietz, Matthew Axelson, and Marcus Luttrell, all under the leadership of team leader Lieutenant Michael Murphy. On June 27th, the team was inserted at the summit of Sawtalo Sar Mountain. Multiple M-47 helicopters executed decoy drops to confuse potential enemy observers. Luttrell, Axelson, Dietz, and Murphy proceeded on foot through the valley. As the sun rose, the team reached a prearranged covered overwatch position to observe the designated areas of interest. However, the team suddenly encountered a group of local goat herders. With no other options, the team detained the herders and faced a critical decision. They could either abort the mission, adhere to the rules of engagement, and release the herders, hoping they wouldn't alert the Taliban, or they could eliminate the herders. The men voted, with a 2-to-1 majority in favor of continuing the mission. Lieutenant Michael Murphy released the herders, and the team resolved to proceed. The herders fled straight to the Taliban, Shah's men, a sizable force of over 50 Taliban fighters. They surrounded the SEALs and strategically positioned themselves atop the steep mountain ridges. Once in position, the Taliban launched their attack, ambushing the SEALs from all 3 sides of the valley. Gunfire erupted from all directions, and the SEALs initially managed to repel the attackers with their superior marksmanship. However, the relentless onslaught soon overwhelmed them, necessitating a move to safer ground. The team made the courageous decision to leap off the side of the mountain, sustaining injuries, losing equipment, and tragically losing Danny Dietz in the process. As the surviving men regrouped on the ground, they continued to fight, determined to persevere. Despite their losses, they devised a plan to climb back up to retrieve Dan, who was responsible for the team's communications. However, before he could make a distress call, Dan was shot in the hand and killed by the enemy. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Lieutenant Michael Murphy, despite struggling to get a signal, crawled back up to the mountaintop directly toward the enemy, displaying remarkable bravery in the face of overwhelming odds. While Luttrell and Axelson provided covering fire, Murphy courageously dashed onto an exposed cliff edge, raising his radio to establish communication with his unit. Despite being shot in the back, he persisted, relaying critical information about their location and the enemy's strength while urgently requesting support. Although wounded, Murphy retrieved the transmitter and completed the call before returning to cover with Luttrell and Axelson. He remained in the fight until succumbing to his injuries moments later. During the intense firefight, Luttrell was blasted into a hole by a grenade, becoming separated from Axelson. An M-47 helicopter, responding to Lieutenant Michael Murphy's distress call with 8 additional SEALs and 8th Army Night Stalkers aboard, arrived for extraction. Tragically, the helicopter was hit by an RPG, resulting in the loss of all 16 personnel on board. Now separated and facing overwhelming odds, Axelson, despite his injuries, made a final stand, exhausting all his ammunition and resorting to his sidearm until he was killed by the enemy. His heroic efforts resulted in the deaths of 4 enemy combatants. By this point, 35 Taliban fighters had been eliminated, leaving Luttrell as the lone survivor. He continued to fight until a grenade blast knocked him unconscious over a ridge. Regaining consciousness after some time, Luttrell found himself badly injured and managed to escape, slowly crawling away down the side of a cliff. He was severely dehydrated with a bullet wound in one leg, shrapnel embedded in both legs, and 3 cracked vertebrae presenting a dire situation. Despite rescue helicopters being dispatched, Luttrell was too weak and injured to make contact. Trekking 7 miles on foot, he eluded the enemy for nearly a day. Fortunately, there, he was discovered by a timber truck driver and Muhammad Gulab, who brought him back to their village where they provided sanctuary for 3 days. Uncertain of Gulab's allegiance, Luttrell prepared for the worst. But to his relief, Gulab proved to be an ally. The entire village steadfastly refused, when repeatedly demanded from the Taliban for Lutral's surrender. Instead, they provide Lutral with shelter, food, and protection against his enemies. Gulab skillfully removed the shrapnel from Lutral's leg, and 5 days later he bravely carried a handwritten message to a nearby American base, informing them of Lutral's condition and location. On the 2nd of July, U.S. forces successfully rescued him from enemy territory. Through his unwavering courage, fearless fighting spirit, and unwavering dedication to his comrades in the face of imminent danger, Murphy managed to relay the position of his unit, a critical act that ultimately led to Lutral's rescue and the recovery of the bodies of the 3 fallen comrades. This marked the deadliest single-day toll for the U.S. forces since the commencement of Operation Enduring Freedom nearly 6 years prior. It also stood as the largest loss of life for naval special warfare since World War II. On September 14, 2006, Dietz and Axelson were honored posthumously with the Navy Cross for their undaunted courage and heroism. Luttrell also received the Navy Cross in a ceremony held at the White House. In 2007, Murphy was posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor for his extraordinary actions during the battle. On June 28, 2008, Luttrell and the families of soldiers who had lost their lives overseas were recognized at a San Diego Padres game. During the event, the United States Navy parachute team, the Leapfrogs, presented the American flag, the POW MIA flag, and the San Diego Padres flag. The attendees received a standing ovation from the crowd of over 25,000 spectators. W. Stanley Proctor created a sculpture titled The Guardians in memory of the SEALs who lost their lives in Operation Red Wings, which is located in Veterans Memorial Park in Cupertino, California. It is one of the earliest sculptured memorials dedicated to those who served in the war in Afghanistan. Secretary of the Navy Donald Winter dedicated the sculpture in November 2007. The artwork portrays Matthew Axelson and James Sue in full combat gear. Proctor, known for his meticulous attention to realistic depictions of humans, was personally selected by Axelson's family for the project, and they recommended him to the committee, believing his work would honor their loved ones effectively. So this is it, my folks. I hope you enjoyed watching today's video. Let us know what your thoughts are about this deadly story in the comments. If you love war stories like these, make sure to subscribe to our channel and leave this video a like if you enjoyed it. Till then, take care of yourself. See you in our next video.